All right, welcome back to Agent Content Creators. My guest today is somebody that if you're not following on Instagram, you probably are. If you're not following his podcast, you probably are. Well, you should be. And that is the broke agent, Eric Simon. He is fantastic about making content that people want to see and engage with. So today we're going to talk about how you as an agent can take that content and put it in your business. Eric, welcome, man.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So walk us through what you've done. So you have this amazing Instagram page. You've done some amazing things there. Now you have a podcast with, is it Matt Leonetti?
Yep.
Uh, how did this all come together and what's clicking for you?
Real estate humor is clicking for me for sure. It all came together because I was a real estate agent, still am, I guess, technically licensed 6 years ago. And I was struggling and I was sitting dead open houses and I absolutely hated every aspect of it. And while I was scrolling through Instagram, I saw nothing but motivational quotes, grind culture type of stuff. And it seemed like every single agent besides myself was absolutely crushing it. So I decided to take the opposite approach and, call myself the broke agent, or at least call my social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and just kind of started tweeting out the inner monologue of a struggling real estate agent. And that's the type of stuff that really hit because there wasn't anything else like that at the moment, or at least, 5 years ago. Now there's a ton of more content out there. So that's how it started. Basically, was just trying to be funny on social media and kind of like a hobby on the side because I was still a full-time real estate agent. And I was always jolting back and forth like, am I going to do content full time? Am I going to be a real estate agent? Never wanted to be a real estate agent. So thankfully this took off, but it's
Yeah.
taken, 6 years to basically become my full-time job.
Yeah, that's crazy. Everybody always thinks that everybody's crushing it and making a ton of money as a realtor, and the reality is a lot of agents are near broke, if not are broke.
Yeah.
So that story is one that I've heard quite a bit. So you make this change where you say, I'm not going to sell real estate. I'm going to move into content creation. How many like avenues of revenue are you making through doing just being a social media influencer?
So that change is recent. So I was still an agent over the last 6 years. And I needed to do that because that's where all the content was coming from. And it kind of helped, yeah, it helped me come up with the content because I was living it. I was sitting in those open houses, doing the inspections, dealing with the clients. But now I'd say there's about 6 or 7 different types of revenue. One of the first ones was always influencer marketing. So the real estate industry was pretty behind in this. 2017, 2018, I would do a couple brand deals every now and then. But like I said, the real estate industry didn't really catch up to this. Like this was really popular for like Instagram models and stuff back then. But now with Instagram stories and Instagram highlights and all these different ways to monetize, it's really taken it to the next level. And I also have a content platform with Coffee and Contracts where I create content for real estate agents. So I create 30 to 50 pieces a month that's very timely, culturally relevant, funny, gifs, memes, infographics type of content that agents can actually create. So agents would always share my content and they would say, hey, there's a huge at the broke agent watermark on this. I don't want my clients thinking I'm an idiot and I don't want my clients thinking I'm a broke agent. So we kind of came up with the idea of how can we give content to agents that's funny and engaging. So that's been extremely successful. I think, under me alone, over 1,000 agents have signed up to this. And it's not just my content. It's a huge platform, buyer's guides, email marketing, and other templates too that aren't actually funny. And then we have a podcast, so we have brand sponsorships with that. We have merchandise. There's speaking gigs. I have equity in different companies and startups because now I have one of the largest platforms in real estate, at least from a humor and entertainment perspective.
Yeah, so it's funny as I actually watched this episode with Ryan Serhant,
Oh
and
yeah, I wasn't in that one.
what was that?
I wasn't even in that one.
I know.
We actually started the podcast off of like the broke agent was kind of it was like the umbrella company of Overask. And then I was like, I got to be on this podcast too because this looks too much fun. So now I'm in every single episode.
Yeah, and I think that's a good move for most agents too. Is rolling into a podcast, right, or creating some content that you can monetize outside of just real estate. What you did, I think, is super smart because let's be all honest about this. there are things we love about real estate and things we hate about real estate. And if you can monetize as many different avenues of it, then the things that you don't like, you can just have somebody else do for you.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
I mean, we were at Tom Ferry last week, and I don't want to talk about what happened at Tom Ferry, but one of my biggest takeaways, you have all of these, let's be honest, multi or if not just millionaires in this room talking about content creation, and every single one of them, you sit back and look at it, and they're not doing everything in their business. They have somebody to do the things they don't like, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. Anybody that, if you're trying to do content creation and trying to do all of this, have somebody do the things you don't like to do and just focus on what you're good at. And I love that you're focusing on what you're good at is, being funny. It's
Yeah.
there's so much to be funny about real estate and make fun of agents for. Doing it tactfully is important though.
Yeah, exactly. I felt like I wasn't great at selling real estate, and I was always good at social media. And since Facebook started, I was making Facebook comments on people's walls and recording funny videos and trolling in comment sections. And I always knew how to get engagement. I always knew how to gain attention online and maintain that attention. And I was a good writer. I would write for sports blogs, and I had my own blog called the Pudgy Caddy. I wrote sports poems for a website called Bacon Sports. And I just loved the engagement and the feedback I would get from that. It was like the best feeling in the world with people actually sharing my work. So I'm really glad that I got to find this avenue in real estate too.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie, man. Some of the stuff you put out is like it. I think if you're an agent and you see some of this stuff, like some of it's funny, but you're like, ouch, that's
Yeah,
pretty personal. Like,
I know. I mean, at the beginning, the content was way more sinister too, because I was, I don't want to say I was depressed, but I mean, I was a struggling agent that was just kind of furious with the entire industry. And, being in LA specifically, all the douchebags and people that you're dealing with, it was just kind of like vindictive, my content. And it was just me talking about being at dead open houses and how no one was answering my cold calls and the listing appointments going terribly. And now the content's definitely evolved to just me, spattering out how pissed off I was.
so, so let's talk about this. So, uh, agents are. Let's be honest about what agents are. We are now in a time where realtors, if you're going to get business off of real estate, you need to be at some point either a content creator or your own channel, right? So, if agents used to be able to market on channels, right? You can market on news channels, stuff like that, and you still do that, but you actually have to be your own TV channel at this point, right? Your own Instagram, extraordinaire, just like what you've done. I mean, almost 340,000 followers on Instagram. What tips would you give agents who are that are struggling with content creation like you were? What tips would you give them to focus on content that actually get them business?
Definitely specializing in what you're good at. I mean, if you're not good on camera, don't focus on video. Maybe you go the template route, and maybe you're a better writer, you go the blog route. That's what's great about this is when you're becoming your own media company, you can focus on what you're good at for sure. But I think the number one advice I would give for agents that don't know what type of content to produce or don't know what sort of content is going to work for them is to consume as much content as possible. There's so many agents I know that don't even follow other agents, so they don't know what type of posts are even out there to draw inspiration from. So I would suggest follow agents like Glenda Baker, who we know, Taya
Yep.
DeCarlo, my friend Matt Leonetti, who I do the podcast with, and all these people are doing different types of content that works. It doesn't always have to be funny, of course, but you could do 10-second reels, you could do property tours set to cool music, you could do blog posts, like I mentioned, you could do educational content, and just as long as you're providing value, I think that's always the best type of content to be given. And we're lucky to be in an industry where everyone cares about, like everyone wants to know about real estate. So if you're showing houses and you're educating buyers and educating sellers, even if that content isn't laugh out loud funny, it's still engaging. But yeah, so I think the moral of what I'm trying to say is follow other agents, follow other content creators, learn what you like to do, learn what sort of post styles you like, and then draw inspiration from it and then test it out basically. And also know that what you test out, it might not be good, but like the consistency is everything. Like I've been doing this for 6 years, posting 2 or 3 times a day. and posting 8 to 10 Instagram stories. Like this, it's not like I just woke up and have this following. This is nonstop. Every single day, you got to keep posting.
That's so what you just said there. If anybody's going to take any piece of advice, there's two pieces of advice you just gave here. Focus on consuming content and understanding what an audience wants, right? Not what realtors wants, unless realtors are your focus. Like what you're doing is perfect because it does hit, it makes fun of real estate, but also agents are going to say, hey, look, how can I take this content? And you're selling this off to agents. Phenomenal. But the second piece that you just said there is what I think makes everyone unique that is doing this at a high level. And what I noticed when we were at Tom Ferry last week, everyone is super ultra consistent about what they do.
Yeah.
You're putting out how many pieces of content a day? 8 to 10?
I mean, overall, on because I do Facebook, I do Twitter, I do
Yeah.
Instagram, I do the podcast, and then I have podcast clips. And then, there's direct messaging, there's my mailing list. So my email blast twice a week. But overall, in a day, I try to pump out 5 or 6 tweets, 8 to 15 Instagram stories, 2 to 3 feed posts. And then I have bad real estate pics, which is another Instagram account. Like this is a media company. So I'm
Yeah.
producing, I don't know, yeah, 30, 40 pieces of content a day. I
A
mean, this is
day.
my entire job. So this is from 7 a.m. throughout the entire day, reposting stories, responding to people, finding like I find content. I go on real estate Facebook groups and see what people are talking about. This is funny. This is culturally relevant. This is what's popular right now. Oh, this is a Pete Davidson meme. This is something I need to throw a real estate caption on it. So it's just constantly finding that. But real estate agents that are fully active are not going to be able to do anything like that unless they have someone working for them, I
Right.
would assume. But as a media company, it's what I got to do.
So and that's super important because I think if you're an agent, right, you need to do these things. I think it's important because you're right. You as an agent, you have to be your own media company. I think it's very important for you to spend the time to learn these things and then piecemeal off what you don't want to do. My YouTube channel, I became super ultra like focused on it, and I knew how many times I needed to put out, how many times I need to put out community posts a week. I know what I need to do there, and I get super anxiety when I don't. Like, and
Yeah.
I'm when we were talking about this last week on Friday nights by like midnight. If I have not put out that video, I'm staying up till 4 in the morning getting it done because I know, like, it weighs on me. And so I think people that do it at a high level, they just know it's ingrained in them. We have to do this. And if you don't, it's at a cost of losing business,
I
right?
have that exact same anxiety. If I haven't posted anything by 9 a.m., I feel like a gravitational pull to Instagram. Sounds pathetic, but there's competition out there too. There's other people creating real estate content, and if I don't post, I'm not getting that engagement. If I'm not getting that engagement, I'm not picking up followers. If I'm not picking up followers, those aren't new people I could convert to the content platform, to the podcast, to the brand deals, to the merchandise, to the mailing list, to the Discord, anything like that. So I need to keep growing the audience because it's more people, it's more conversions, it's a bigger community, and it's more people that are gonna, subscribe to my other stuff basically. But the goal is not to get people to sign up to all my platforms. The goal is make agents laugh, entertain, provide value, and eventually provide like news, social media help, and become the go-to real estate media company.
I think something you said there, it relates to something I've said for a long time. In everything you just said, you did not say to sell something, right? You said to come with value. And I think the biggest mistake I see agents make, and we'll ask, I want to see what mistakes you think agents make. But the mistake I see a lot of agents make is they're always selling themselves. And depending on who your audience is, if you're constantly selling, you may be pushing people off that would have come to you if you had just come from value. So that's one big mistake I see people make on YouTube all the time. They talk about themselves and how great they are for 25 seconds. And I'm so bored with your video now, I'm clicking off and watching something else because I'm not getting value out of it. What are some things you think agents are just making huge mistakes on Instagram or whatever platform it's going to be?
Yeah, and social media, Instagram specifically, just showing your wins is not a great strategy. If you're only posting your just solds, you're under contract, and you're just listeds, nobody cares. That's a guaranteed scroll right by. It's a template. it's a house you already sold or it's a house that's already under contract, people aren't interested in that. Tell a story about it. Maybe jumble up 3 or 4 just solds and do a finality at the end of each month that actually combines them and tells a story. But I think showing your losses and being vulnerable and being authentic, as cliche as that sounds, is what crushes on social media. That's what agents need to do. If you're just showing your wins and showing yourself in a suit and showing yourself at these incredible listings, that's not relatable to people, and people don't want to work with others that aren't relatable to them. So the more you show your losses, the more you show kind of the funny side of real estate. And hey, this happened at this inspection. There's a sewer inspection gone wrong, and the buyer's dad is here, and he's causing a ruckus, and all this shit's happening. And that kind of stuff is so much more relatable, fun, and engaging than just popping out your wins all the time. And then also like a lack of variety of content. I think agents do kind of specialize in one specific type of content, but for Instagram specifically, like we have the opportunity to do IGTV, which is not really a thing anymore, but long form
Right.
video, reels. You could do the slideshow posts, you could do memes, you could do tweets, thoughts, templates, you could have different stuff on your Instagram stories. So I think hitting people with a variety of content is also very important than just having one, mundane feed of similar looking posts.
That's actually really a really uh, thoughtful thing to think about, because so I do Instagram, but I'm not very good at it, right? I have a fair amount of followers, but I don't really know what I'm doing right or wrong on Instagram. I'm putting out all this different content, but I think if I was more strategic, like, okay, today I'm only going to put out like 4 stories. I'm going to put out a post about, maybe I'm going to do a video about a loss, right? Like, oh man, here's a prime example. Yesterday, I did a quick little video in front of, I was taking the sign down from this $1 million listings on the east side. I'm like, what's crazy about this is all these agents are calling me to find out what this sold for so they can list their homes. There's going to be more $1 million homes like this on the east side. In retrospect, I wish I would have talked about my losses on this. Like, so I made a huge mistake. I told the seller that all of this stuff didn't convey, and it did. And now I had to pay $1,700 out of pocket on this. I'm glad this one's selling. We set a record on the east side, but this was a good learning experience for me. I think but I didn't post it. I think I shot
Mhm.
that. I think what you're saying probably would have really resonated. Dang, this guy had to pay $1,700. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's
So
those raw car videos crush for everybody. I mean, Tom mentioned it, and my friend Matt Leonetti, he does kind of rant videos in his car, and they're not high
yeah,
production value or anything.
yeah,
And those ones do better than his music videos or the ones that are filmed with a film crew. Because being
right.
in your car and being in your car with your thoughts before an appointment, after an appointment is super relatable because that's where people do their thinking and that's where people are gathering their thoughts about the experience they just had. So car rant videos are huge. I mean, yeah, just go on your Instagram story and talk about whatever just happened. And you're still showing people, hey, I'm in real estate, but I'm not saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Are you looking to buy or sell? I'm just saying, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is my activities. And then also showing, your personality and showing your hobbies, obviously, is super important too, because you want to attract like minded people. You want to attract clients that want to work with you because they like you and they could relate with you.
Right. And production value is one of those things too that I think a lot of agents get in their way about, right? You look at Glinda Baker and she's got full production on TikTok. All those videos are then put over, but she's telling a story, right? All of her videos are her telling a story. They're not all wins. There's a lot of times she's talking about losses, times she messed up. So I think that's really important to sell your losses. But as far as like quality goes, that's one thing I think agents get in their head about. One of the best YouTube videos for realtors was this guy in my market who did a video where he basically put it on YouTube where he was like, you got to fight for your right to be a real estate agent. And did this whole like played, you got to fight for your right on YouTube. And the
Mhm.
guy's like massively well known because of this stupid video he posts, like screaming into his phone about you got to fight for your business.
Right. Yeah, I mean, you could do it on your phone. The phones are so high quality now. It's not like you're putting up, Motorola flip phone content. So you don't need a film crew to do any of this.
Yeah, and I think so. That would be. Do you think that would be a tip for agents to like just get out of your head about the quality and just shoot it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to get better on camera too. Like I sucked on camera when I first started doing it. My first TikToks were awful. All my interviews, that I did in 2016, 17, I was nervous. I had no idea what to say. And you just get better with the more consistent you are, the more practice you do. And you need to learn vertical video specifically because that's how people are consuming content now. TikTok is extremely addicting because
Well,
it's
so what is so if people don't know, what does vertical mean?
vertical, just takes up your entire phone, right?
Right.
I don't know if
So it's
it's the
vertical, not
definition.
horizontal.
Yeah,
Okay.
not horizontal.
Right.
It's takes up your entire phone basically. That's how TikTok is. That's how Instagram Reels is, and it's so much more fun to consume because it's colorful. It's in your face. There's music attached to it. There's captions, and it's quick hitting. And if that's how people want to consume content now, that's the type of content you have to be producing. So doing a template of a just listed or just sold compared to a video of you describing the just listed or just sold, or doing a walkthrough of the house to a cool like Juice World song or something like that, that would do 100 times better. You don't even have to be on camera necessarily. You could flip it around to just show the actual house with different captions popping up. But everyone has to learn vertical video. Otherwise, you're going to be behind.
Yeah, that's really important. What you said about the solds. Everybody sees sold, and in this market, it's been so hot. If a home doesn't sell, you're doing something wrong. You either
Yeah.
overpriced. All of the things that we hate about real estate is what probably happened with that transaction. So doing fun stuff that people actually can relate to is way more important. I totally agree with you on that point. What other advice, if somebody's really trying to figure out this Instagram thing, what other advice would you give them to, like, just small pieces of something they can do in their daily that will help them improve their Instagram? I'm thinking of me when I say this. What advice would you give there?
I think you kind of said it in your question. Small pieces of what you're doing throughout the day is content. So you could document, and this is like, I'm stealing from Gary Vee basically, but you could document what you're doing throughout the day. So even if you're not showing property, you could flip your phone out and show, hey, I'm writing a property description. I can't think of another word for modern. Is contemporary work, like something stupid like that, but it's still content. It's showing that you're doing a real estate activity and it's relatable because other agents who aren't professional writers writing the property description is a huge hassle and sucks. So I think throughout your day as a real estate agent, because you're doing so much stuff, you're having phone calls, you're looking at properties, you're in your car, you're at a showing, you're at an inspection, you're putting up signs, you're at photography appointments. Like this is content being shoved directly in your face. So you have so many opportunities to film. And even if you're not posting a reel or something right there then or a story, just film shit. Or sorry, just film stuff. Just take out your phone, put out a video, and film yourself with a behind the scenes with the photographer, and it shows you actually like setting up the furniture with him or her, or shows the conversations you're having about the lighting. Or I mean, these aren't great examples. These aren't that entertaining necessarily, but my point is that you're doing so much activity as a real estate agent that content is being shoved directly in your face, and you should just document it on your phone, film it, take pictures, and then you could kind of come up with a content library afterwards. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes total sense. I
Yeah,
mean,
those examples sucked. Like
your whole film
with your
crew is right
photographer.
here, right?
Yeah,
So I think people get so caught up on how much money and everything they need to spend. People ask me on YouTube, like, oh, I just don't have the money to buy all that stuff. This was my content creation for a long time, and it doesn't have to be great. You get a little mic, put that on the bottom. My little reels that I'm putting out now that are just about the news, I literally shoot a minute and a half, put it up on my editor, drop it down to a minute, and throw some music over it from IG. And this is my mic, and it sounds fucking great.
yeah.
So, well, cool, man. I really appreciate you joining. If anybody wants to reach out to you, what can you provide them as far as like tools? I know you got a lot. You got a book and all this stuff coming out.
Yeah.
What would you recommend them do if they want to get some good media tips from you?
So we have a ebook. We come out with ebooks all the time. So I would just follow my Instagram at the broke agent. We just came out with a new ebook, 11 secret tips for real estate agents. We have one on IG Reels. These are all free. We actually have a meme ebook too. So if you want to learn how to create memes and how to rip videos and how to throw on captions and the thought process behind creating funny content, just go to my Instagram, and that's in my highlight section. And then just go to thebrokeagent.com. That has everything, template platforms there, podcasts, shop, other agent resources, and you could contact me there as well.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate your time. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want more fun content like this and want to hear fun stuff from great people like the Broke Agent, Mr. Eric. And we will catch you on the next video. I appreciate it.